New troubles for Vice President Kamala Harris after she didn't wear a mask at a Washington, D.C. school where the young students are still required to wear one. Republicans like Senator Ted Cruz blasted the move as just the latest Democratic example of rules for thee, but not for me. Meantime, her deputy chief of staff is leaving next month, and that would make him the 12th staffer to call it quits. That's a partridge in a pear tree, guys. And then there's the VP's job approval rating, nearly 52% with an unfavorable view. Harris, the news just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for her. 56% of voters who view the vice president unfavorably, and a whopping 47% who said they view her very unfavorably.
Well, people don't know what to make of someone if behind the scenes she can't do her job because people are leaving. I mean, I'm curious now, and Kaylee, you've worked in a White House. Who's doing her day-to-day right now? And we know that it takes a lot of preparation because she makes a lot of mistakes in public. So somebody's got to really be prepping her for whatever that schedule looks like. And I don't know if we can, but let's pop those pictures back up there. These are not just like, and I don't mean to say this in any bad way, but we do know the difference between the person who answers the phone in the office and the person who's the national security advisor. That person quit right after she got back from Poland recently. So these are elevated positions. The lower ranking positions are important too. But these people leaving, that affects how she does her daily job. And we know the president has given her so much responsibility. So who's doing the day-to-day schedule for her? Who's making the choices for what she says when she's out and about? Is she helping raise money? How does she do that? When they clean up a gaffe, do they have the back end worked out such that they've got something new on her schedule where it looks like she did know what she was talking about? Short answer is no, because we never see that kind of reparation.
Right. And Kaylee, according to the vice president, remember, she's not being positioned fairly in order to succeed. So, of course, there's zero responsibility on her end. But the list goes on of the hypocrisy, obviously.
Yeah. Let me make one preliminary point, because I do want to get quickly to Kamala Harris and the mask fiasco. But when you are a vice president, you're in the shadow of the president. And you should have a staff that aggressively advocates for you. When I was President Trump's communications staff, you know, I was his press secretary. Mark Short, the chief of staff for the vice president, would often come to me and advocate for the vice president to do something. Katie Miller, his communications person, would come to me and advocate for the vice president. Where's the staff advocating to not have her on the border, a task where she's doomed to fail? I don't think, though, it's her staff so much in this case. I think you see 12 people who have left. I think it's the vice president. It's my way or the highway. I'm not going to read my briefing books. I'm not going to listen to my staff. She has a history of this. So I don't think any staff could help her. The most competent staff, the least competent staff, I don't think it makes a difference because there's a principal problem at the top. Case in point, just yesterday, she took a picture without a mask on, surrounded by children. Did she not remember Stacey Abrams? We talked about this at the beginning of this year. Stacey Abrams surrounded by kids, maskless. I mean, this is a PR fiasco. Where was the staff to stop it? Jamal Simons is the new communications director. He's already started. He has a 46 account, as they call it, official government account. I don't know if he warned her. Maybe he didn't warn her. But it's simply not a good look.
So I have a question about that, though, because we're in an optional zone. I know my children, one of them started just today with optional mask wearing at school. One was previously allowed to do that. So what would you suggest, just from a communication standpoint, that the vice president, oh my gosh, I sound like Biden. I can't figure out whose title goes with what. What would you suggest that Kamala Harris do in that? Does she capitulate and wear a mask because the optional mask wearers are doing that, or does she walk alone on that and not wear one?
I think she doesn't wear one when she's speaking, but just as we see Jen Psaki put on a mask as she leaves the podium, I don't even think they need to do that. Let me put that aside. But if they're going to not be in this PR fiasco and they believe in masks religiously, put it on as you leave the podium. Joe Biden, remember when he was frantic looking for that mask? Put it on before you leave the podium. If you're a mask advocate, I'm certainly not, don't wear it at all. But put it on before you go stand beside the children who you're forcing to put cloth on their face.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't policy, that was memory.
Yes, that was memory.
Or lack thereof.
And Joey, some in the media are characterizing these as gaffes, but I think perhaps more accurately, it's a dearth of leadership or commitment to policy. And clearly where there's smoke, there's fire, because that is an exodus from her staff.
It'd be great to chalk this up to palace intrigue. You know, does Kamala fire them? Do they quit Kamala? Is this personality? Is this House of Cards? But really what it is it's trips to Poland where you literally mess up everything we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's Kamala Harris telling the world that that sanctions are deterrents and Joe Biden telling the world they were never deterrents. That's the problem we have. Kamala Harris was most effective as a politician when she was in the Senate grilling confirmation hearings and being what we call in politics a bulldog, on the attack. And really that's the role she could serve this administration. She has the ability to really go after people. We've seen that out of her as a senator. I don't know why the Biden administration wouldn't want that from her. He's the nice Uncle Joe. She can be the attack. In my opinion, it must be that's not what she wants to do. And because that's the strategy the Biden administration would like out of her, they're left with not knowing what to do with her, or she doesn't want to do what they want her to do. And there's friction in that way because she has aspirations beyond the office she has now, and she doesn't want to put herself out there in a way that gets people to not like her more than they already do. And I can understand that, but at some point, you got to quit worrying about your political aspirations and maybe, I don't know, try to serve the country. That'd be cool.
Well, Jackie, given, again, 47%, they view her very unfavorably, 56% unfavorably. She has a tough road ahead if she wants to stay in this game.
She sure does. And actually, she had such an incredible platform here that she is completely wasted. But to go back to the masks for one moment, I actually think it was intentional not to have a mask on, even surrounded by those children. Not only the administration, the Democrats, and the CDC realize that there is no more appetite for these kinds of draconian rules anymore. And they're thinking about that as they're heading into the midterms, right? At the same time, they want to cling to COVID because COVID has helped them in so many ways. It's been this tremendous place to put blame every time they mess something up. It's been a tremendous place.
Why don't they bring that up at the border?
Yeah, well, it's a really good point. So she was stuck in this really tough position where they want to cling to it just in case they need it, but also the optics of it. Oh, I don't need to wear a mask, and so there you have it.